Welcome to Unleashed at Work and Home. I'm Colleen Pilar, and this is where pet professionals come for honest conversations about what it really takes to show up for yourself while serving the animals you love. If you've ever felt caught between compassion and exhaustion, you're in the right place. Here we explore what it means to reconnect with your inner wisdom and rediscover the joy that brought you to this work. Make sure to join my email community at colleenpilar.com for gentle, practical insights designed specifically for pet professionals. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Unleashed at Work and Home. My guest today is Eileen Anderson, and you have probably read some of her work in the past. But when I said to her, how do we describe you and what you do? It looked like it was going to be a really interesting answer. And I said, wait, don't tell me. And I said, we're going to hit record. So welcome, Eileen.
Thank you.
Could you please tell us, what kind of pet professional are you? What do you do?
It's hard to put your finger on me. It's part of my mystique, you know. I have always called myself a passionate amateur in terms of actual training of dogs. I've trained 6 dogs seriously, and I've helped in some agility courses and things like that, but I do not call myself a professional trainer. I don't take clients. I don't take money for training. I see the differences between me and professional trainers very well, and it has to do with that broad experience of seeing lots and lots of dogs, and I have not. But I have trained my own dogs very deeply, and that training has led me into the theory in which I'm pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a name for that or not. One thing I am is I have graduate degrees in music and engineering science with focus on acoustics. And I am kind of the only person right now that I know of bringing sound information into the dog world. So I shy away from expert, but I would say that I am the person who can bring that information. But again, that's too many words. There's not a good label for me.
Yeah, it's hard to put you on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
But the good news is you're a beautiful writer and you communicate things really clearly. So that's nice for those of us who are learning from what you've learned, that when you share, it is accessible for the rest of us.
Thank you. And I forgot dog writer. You could call me a dog writer. That is one label that fits.
That is one label that fits.
Yeah.
I love passionate amateur. Like there's a lovely description. I'm so glad I didn't let you tell me this in advance. I'm glad we waited for it to share it here together.
Me too.
So what do you think led you to go from, just a person with a dog to being this passionate amateur who's using her gifts in so many ways in the dog world?
Thank you for that question. It was a typical beginning, although I didn't take maybe the typical path. I got a dog who was too much for me. Back then, I would have said she had problems. And they were mostly problems for me, but they were also problems for my other dog. I got a 10-month-old, very, very mixed breed from a small town shelter about 30 miles from here because I saw a picture of her. I'm not typically that impulsive. And like anybody even then I was on the edge of the dog community, anybody in that community sees those sad pictures and sad stories all the time. But she was the one, when I saw her picture, I thought, I just have to go get that dog. You could say fate, you could say it was meant to be, and I don't know if any of those things are true, but I just knew I had to go get that dog. She's 30 pounds. She was 10 months old and underweight, and not my type of dog. I'm a hound and terrier person, and she was just like everything. And my other dog at the time was a 12-pound rat terrier who was extremely feisty and used to being the boss of the house. And they pretty much hated each other at first sight. I didn't know how to do introductions. I didn't know how to set up, good feelings about each other. I had just gone and got this dog, put her in a crate. I'd never trained a dog before. And tried to go on with my life. That did not succeed. I could not go on with my life as it was. She took lots more care and attention. My previous dogs had mostly been males, very laid back guys, didn't chew anything, didn't have toys much, and she was the opposite. She chewed everything. And at the time, I thought that was so weird, and I have since learned that she was probably the more typical
Mm.
and they were not. I just didn't know how to cope with that. But the big problems were, of course, that she and my terrier fought. And she was 28 pounds and Cricket was 12.
Yeah.
And Cricket probably started most of the fights. She just hated anybody else who was around for my attention. And so it was quickly too much for me. And I started just loving this dog. I named her Summer, and I loved her. She was quiet and deep and very, very sweet, and hated my other dog. So I felt trapped.
Mm.
I felt like I couldn't let her go. She'd end up in a shelter again. She would be hard to place. I was pretty experienced with placing dogs. I didn't think I could. And but keeping her was putting boundaries on my life that I had never had before. I felt trapped. I couldn't leave the house in the evenings. I had to be there. Couldn't let her out in the yard by herself, which I was one of those people who'd just put my dogs out and go to work.
Mhm.
And I'm not that now. I'm a go out with them every time and be with them in the yard. But that transition felt so limiting to me
Yeah.
at the time. It has helped me develop empathy for all the people who get a dog that's a little bit above their skill level or experience, and all of a sudden their life has changed.
Mhm.
And so many people do so many kind things to
Yeah.
try to keep their dogs.
Yeah.
And I love that about this world, and I try to talk about that, and I try to encourage it and model it, but it was a long journey for me. I went through the traditional obedience club route. Well, you need to train your dog.
Mhm.
She needs to be obedient, which does not help with aggression, really.
Mhm.
But I did go to the local obedience club, and it was pretty traditional. It was punitive, although I will say there were lovely people there. I think those people love their dogs too.
Mhm.
Um, I will not, denigrate them
Yeah.
for making other
They were
choices.
doing what they knew to do.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I went through that, and that didn't help, although I kind of got hooked on obedience and agility there, and I found the agility crowd easier and more fun because there's less, force
Yeah.
training in agility. It can be done for sure, but there's less. And, just gradually put things together. I finally found a great trainer here in Little Rock, who was just head and shoulders over anybody else I had encountered, and she helped me learn about the science behind dog training, and I got badly hooked. So badly that I left my doctoral program in engineering because behavior science was so much more fun.
Wow. I mean, that's hooked.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
leave a doctoral program that you were engaged in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I left out the part where I was clinically depressed. I this wonderful, lovely, problematic dog, and the trapped feeling I got from taking care of her in
Yeah.
this new way, I got seriously clinically depressed. It was the second time in my life, and I just had feelings of doom all the time, and it
Mhm.
was triggered because of a new dog. So, again, I feel for people who have had to make that transition between all the dogs I had before were easy and perfect, and now I have one who's not, but gosh, I still love her.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy to go, the common denominator is me, so I must be screwing it up. I must be wrong or
Right.
bad or not enough or any of those things.
Mhm.
And that's hard. Or to turn it on that the dog is that. And when it's actually just a really much more complex situation and, what you needed to support her and what she needed, all of those pieces. That's amazing. That's extraordinary.
Thank you. A lot of people have that story, and it takes them into becoming trainers.
Oh, yeah, well, I definitely am a trainer because I had the dog that got kicked out of class. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And my path, I saw that path. As I was going along it, I saw it ahead. And it's like, this is what usually happens.
Mhm.
But I knew trainers by that time. I knew the heartache of taking, cases in homes.
Yeah.
I knew I knew the beauty of it and I knew the hardship of it, and
Yeah.
I felt that I was not temperamenally suited to that, and so I took the route of writing about it instead
Mhm.
of training professionally.
Yeah. Which has had some amazing ripples because you've done quite a bit of writing,
Quite a bit.
both books and blogging. So do you have a preference between books and blogging?
Oh, don't tell anybody, but it's blogging. My blog is my home. It's my little castle. I can do whatever I want there, and I can do short form essays, which is what I love to do. I love writing books. I loved collaborating with my friend and colleague Marge Rogers on the puppy socialization book. That was a gas. It was fun, but I like, 2,000 words is like what I like to write.
Mhm.
And with pictures.
With
And it's
pictures.
a different, when you start, writing books, you don't use photos in the same way. I mean, you
Yeah.
can have photos in your book, and we had dozens of photos in the puppy book, but they were all demos,
Yeah.
except for maybe a chapter header here and there, but they were all, "We need to show you what this body language looks like," or, "We need to show you how to do this."
Yeah. Well, we'll link up to your books and your blog and things so anyone who isn't familiar with those things can find them. But I do like your blog and I do like the pictures. I appreciate that you give a little information and then a picture so I know where I am and then a little more information and a picture. Um,
Thank
so
you.
when you were 10, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Probably a housewife.
Okay.
My father my I got a lot of mixed messages. I'm a boomer. I'm 67. And so back then, it was atypical for little girls to be put on, encouraged on a career path. But my parents both encouraged me to do that I could do anything I wanted.
Hmm.
My mother, especially. My father encouraged me about science things. For a while, he was talking about I should get into radiologic pharmacy, I think, which was something new then. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
But I come from a musical family.
Hmm.
And the obvious thing to do was to go to music school. And so by about not by 10, but 14 or 16, it was like, I want to change the world through music. I'm good at this. I love it. I'm going to go to music school, which is what I did.
And so then what did you do to earn money? Were you
um, I did gigs. I was a classical musician. I play the harpsichord, and I was chosen for an early Baroque orchestra in the San Francisco Bay Area,
awesome?
Philharmonia. And I made money doing that. I played concerts with my friends. We called that getting sandwich money because you'd get, $70 to split between 5 people. Um, I tuned harpsichords. I was the harpsichord
Interesting.
tuner at San Francisco Conservatory. Unlike pianos, they need to be tuned all the time. They don't have all that steel framing inside them, and they're unstable, and when it gets more humid, they expand, and when it gets drier, they contract. So I tuned about 7 harpsichords every week
Wow.
for the conservatory. Yeah, on Monday mornings.
Wow. That's so interesting. Yeah, and I realized as I was saying make money, I wasn't denigrating music at all because I know I am family members with musicians.
Mhm.
It was more just like from the 10-year-old and then the 14 to 16-year-old started thinking about music, what was the career. And so all of that music and yet the passion for education was still coming because you've got a couple of master's degrees
Mhm.
and so so how does that relate? You're a practicing musician, you're playing, you're performing, you're also tuning. What what made you decide I need more education in a specific area and not only do I need more, I need 2 master's degrees?
I was always a person who wanted to know, lots of different things, and even when I was in, young 20s and finished music school, I went off to UC Berkeley and was taking, Prelude to the Calculus and Italian at San Francisco State and, just always trying to go back to school. Later, I did stop playing music because I wasn't exactly a prodigy, but I was very talented, and I had followed that path very passively.
Mhm.
I never really thought about making a living. I just figured somehow it would take care of itself. Um, and I'm fortunate that I had parental support, and it did kind of take care of itself. But where was I going with that? I stopped playing when I was about 25. I just went through a thing where I thought, I'm doing this because I felt like that's why my parents loved me.
Ah,
That's kind of a shortcut, and that was not the only reason they loved me, but I had gotten so I in, behavioral terms now, it's like, that's what I got reinforced for
yep.
over and over. It's a potent reinforcer,
Mhm.
and musicians are adulated. If you can play something in this world,
Yeah.
it's both it has a lot of aspects to it, but it is a high level career. If you say that you're a musician, people go, "Oh, wow."
Mhm.
And I felt like I had gone that way because of that reinforcement, I didn't call it that at the time,
Right.
rather than a passion for it, and I decided to stop and see what happened. And later on, I was working at a university, and we got free tuition. Really good place for me, and that's when I started taking undergraduate engineering courses. And I'm the only person I know of who got into the graduate program in engineering with, a master's in music and no undergraduate science degree.
Yeah, I imagine that would be pretty rare. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so. So you mentioned earlier that you've got to focus on sound, and it's been fascinating to me. I stopped like officially training around 2018, and all of the sense stuff was really burgeoning. Like so much more information was
Yeah.
coming out and continues to come out, um and more recently with like especially with my most recent dog, I've been hearing more about sound, things that I
Mhm.
never heard before, things I never learned. So, give us just a little quick taste of like why we should be paying more attention to sound in the world of our dogs and what and maybe like a first step for people who are like not aware that this
Okay.
is under underserved.
Yes. The sad reason for paying more attention to sound is that there are so many products out there that promise amazing things that are not acoustically possible. Um, Crates and headphones to protect dogs' ears. That kind of barrier can't protect a dog against low frequency sounds.
Mm.
Low frequency as in thunder and
Mhm.
fireworks. So if someone says in their marketing materials, buy our crate and your dog will enjoy silence inside, that is against physics. It doesn't work. Um, it's interesting that the sound stuff I share is all pretty basic undergraduate, physics things, but it's just not well known. Sound
Yeah,
is
I
not
I
well
don't
understood. We have intuitions about it that are kind of wrong. We feel like, for instance, I'm looking at a closet here, but if I could line my closet with enough blankets and maybe some foam, it would
Mhm.
make a nice place where my dog couldn't hear thunder. They would still hear thunder.
You would still hear thunder.
There would be an acoustical effect from that, and it would be dampening echoes and higher frequencies, so it could have kind of a cozy feeling. So the dog might like it, but it's not because they're not hearing the thunder. And there are no products on the market that can protect a dog from hearing thunder and fireworks because those sound waves are huge. They go through everything.
Well,
So
that's
that's kind of a
discouraging.
downer. Yeah, I know. We said the same thing. It's kind of a downer. Most of what I write is, I'm sorry, but that doesn't work. Um, and if you think it's working great, keep doing it. It may be working for some other reason. For dogs, for instance, who have a mild um, phobia or sensitivity to thunder, if it's only for the really loud crashes, well, then maybe headphones could help a little bit because it would take the edge off. It might make them sound like they're farther away. But if you have a dog like mine who is clinically phobic of fireworks and thunder, they learn right away that those far away rumbles predict bigger ones.
Mhm.
And so a far away rumble is scary as well.
Yeah.
So there's nuance to it. I
Yeah.
think there's some dogs out there who could profit. I just put out a blog 2 days ago about headphones. I think there are some dogs who could profit from it, but they're probably few and far between, and the fact that you have to condition the gear for the
Yeah.
dog to be happy in it, that's a lot of effort to put on a gamble, you
Yeah.
know?
That's very interesting. I hadn't heard that before. Um, but it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. It's just one of those things of I think our intuition about well, first off, their senses and ours are so different. It's
Mhm.
always interesting when we're kind of stepping into, like, what a dog sees, what a dog smells, what a dog hears. We don't know. I mean, science helps us, but
Right.
truly, this experience of, like, "Oh, this I think would be helpful," maybe not, because we're doing it based on our own senses and our
Mhm.
own experience of the world.
That's really true with the music for dogs industry. It is music for humans. I will just say they're making music that sounds relaxing to humans. There are a couple guys, one's an ethologist and one is a musician, who are putting out music for other animals. They put out music for cotton-top tamarins and for domestic cats.
Mhm.
They wrote music that was species specific. You know, the cotton-top tamarin music, we can hardly hear it because it's all these high frequency beeps and whistles. And the cat music is very charming to hear because they have things that sound like purring in it and little kind of descending motifs that sound a little bit like a meow. But they their theory is that music for other animals should be in the frequency range of their communication and their hearing. And music for humans is not that for cats or dogs or cotton top tamarins.
That's so interesting. I mean, yes, obvious when you say it should be in the frequent like, of course, but from the perspective of what we're hearing when it's sold to us and what we're assuming they're hearing, like, that there are things they're hearing that we're not kind of piece.
Right?
So, what is your recommendation for a dog with, say, separation anxiety or something where they're trying to use a noise as an additional calming, soothing kind of thing, given that most of what's out there isn't necessarily going to work for that specifically. Is it just use anything and condition them to it, or are there specific things to be looking toward?
There's a review study of music for dogs, and they found that light classical music and to a lesser extent reggae had a small positive effect on relaxing dogs. And that means something like they lay down a little bit more, or,
Mhm.
they're usually very small differences. Um, that is the best we have. Also, they tested specially created music for dogs, and it came in last every time. Apparently, just regular classical music that humans enjoy is better than that. But I'll point out that all of those studies took place in shelters
Mm,
and vet clinics where the animals are it's a reinforcement deficient environment. No
yeah,
matter how wonderful a shelter is, the
right.
goal is to get a dog into a home where there are all sorts of opportunities for good things. And what I notice is that music pretty much goes under the radar if there are lots of other things to do. And so the short answer is that I use music for masking. I use it to prevent the dog from hearing scary things. And so a dog with separation anxiety who had a comorbidity with sound sensitivity, which is pretty common, I guess,
Mhm,
I would be playing whatever they could tolerate in terms of brown noise
mhm,
or I famously have recommended taiko drumming, for dogs who are afraid of thunder, only if they're okay with that.
mhm,
Um, but something that competes with it, it makes our brains process it different. It doesn't drown the sound out. It actually masking happens in our brains and in
yeah,
dogs' brains. It's what is salient, and it makes the scary sounds less salient. So I use music or audiobooks or brown or white noise.
Audiobooks was a recommendation that someone made to me, and I'm pretty certain the name attached to it was Eileen Anderson says. Um, and that's good enough for me. If Eileen Anderson says, then I'll try the
Yeah.
audiobooks.
There's one study in which the audiobooks came in ahead of classical music and specially arranged music for dogs, and I use it. See, there's kind of an art to using masking, but I used to use it when I had, like, electricians in my home,
Mhm,
and I had a feral dog, and I had a reactive dog who neither of them were very comfortable hearing voices in the next room,
mhm,
but a male voice on an audiobook could really, mask that,
mhm.
and and dogs know the difference between a voice coming out of a speaker and a voice that's really in the next room. But it didn't matter because it was in the same frequency range, and it kind of just it masked the speech that was happening in the next room while the electricians were deciding what to do.
Yeah, that's so interesting. My brain is coming up with a whole variety of questions here. Um, so what how do you know what to write about on your blog? Is it just are you just pursuing your interest or what people ask you or
It used to be mostly, "Somebody's wrong on the internet, and I have to straighten it out," um, and it's still that, certainly. I I get lots of
Imagine that, somebody wrong on the internet.
I know, it never happens, right? Um, in fact, when I started my blog in 2012, my friend and colleague Marge Rogers was the one who said, "You ought to have a blog." And I said, "All I do is react. I just get mad at stuff." And she said, "That's fine. Just start writing it." And she was right. Um, in my early piece, lots of them are myth busting, and that's kind of how I became somewhat of a darling to the dog training community because I wrote articles that they could show people and
Mhm.
say, "No, we don't throw a cookie at our dog when they run out in traffic," like the balance trainers like to say, things like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's something that my dogs have done,
Mhm.
that I just find super interesting. I'll write about what's going on with my dogs. I've written about Lewis's sound sensitivity, which is an ongoing issue that we're still
Mhm.
working on. He's a harder case than my dog Zany, who at the time spent 4 months in complete panic, but meds got her out and she got almost back to normal.
Wow.
And we're not finding normal with him yet, but he's much, much better now than he was. Anyway, so I write about that. And I start seeing it's a different version of someone is wrong on the internet. It's about sound now.
Mhm.
It's about, buy our special crate and your dog will not hear the fireworks at all or get our special headgear. And I've been thinking about, I haven't done this yet, but making a sound product bingo card because they almost all say the same thing. They'll say 30 decibel reduction, and which sounds wonderful until you find out that they're excluding low frequencies from their calculation because
Mm.
their products don't work against those very well. Anyway, there's a whole big O card full of things that the marketers say that I don't want people to waste their money and their time on something that won't help.
Yeah.
I want them to find, you know, good quality training and a veterinarian and meds if appropriate, you know, and usually they are with sound sensitivity. It's very
Yeah.
hard to get through it without.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very interesting. I have been fortunate that my more recent dogs haven't had too much thunderstorm phobia, but I have lived with dogs in the past with it, and it's just heartbreaking. It's
It
just
is.
it's just awful because so, yeah, there was a time in my life where if I could have afforded it, I would have bought, a safe crate if I mean, that predated the crates, I'm sure, because it's a while back for that particular dog, but, I mean, she was just panicked. She was just
Yeah.
panicked, and
Panic.
and we didn't have great options for her, and so then I was
Mhm.
just distressed and she was panicked, and, fireworks have been ruined for me too. Like, I used to
Uh-huh.
enjoy fireworks. When
I
I
did
was young,
too.
I was like, "Oh, we'll go to the fireworks," and now I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna be home," just making sure that my animals are okay with the fireworks. Um, and it makes me crazy when I understand that they add the sound to the fireworks. Like, they don't need to be so loud and so whistly and so bangy. They add that.
Yeah. I read that is it Italy that, still has fireworks, but they're silent?
Yeah.
I think and I didn't know that was possible either.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Some places have done it for PTSD reasons, and I thought, well, maybe,
Yeah.
if we could find a reason on a human level to say, let's at least, add an orchestra, have music, but
Yeah.
but we'll still see what we see, but we don't need to have the bang, 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 and particularly for the little ones sold at the little, corner stalls that are going off in my front yard 10 days in advance and 10 days after a
Yeah.
holiday.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to know that it will be quiet
Yeah.
for me and for my pets. But that's
Orchestral
me.
accom
Somebody's wrong on the internet. There's my soapbox.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I was gonna say orchestral accompaniment to a fireworks show is a great idea.
Mhm.
They could play heroic music, and
Yeah,
it could be great. That's a lovely idea.
yeah. When I'm in charge of the world, which is
Please
gonna be soon, I'm certain,
Mhm.
I'm gonna add that.
Please do that.
That will be that.
Yeah.
So, I ask all of my guests to share some words that have meaning to them, and the words you shared are, "Your dog is not giving you a hard time. Your dog is having a hard time." Can you tell me a little bit about those words and what they mean to you and why they're important?
They're important because when I came into the dog world, I saw it the other way. I saw, this dog is having giving me a hard time. See, I can't even say it anymore. Um, she's acting like a surly teenager. She has it, she's just doing this stuff to bug me. She's making my life difficult. And I was the center of it. Because
Mhm,
that's how I grew up,
mhm.
and it took a while for me, and I loved my animals. That's the thing. You can
Yep,
have that attitude and still adore your animals and take very good care of them.
100%.
And it's hard to describe the change that comes when you start to see, "Oh, this creature is afraid. She's afraid for her life. No wonder she's acting like she is." Or this dog knew how to jump fences when she got to me, and that's where she got reinforcement, was getting out of where she was. She's not trying to make my life hard, although it did make my life very hard.
Mhm.
You know, it's like it's up to me. I'm the one with the opposable thumbs and the big brain to figure out how to get her needs met so that she gets what she needs, so she doesn't feel like she has to leave,
Yeah,
you know? But it's a transition that was central to my life,
yeah.
and
It's a really beautiful turn of phrase because I think most people, when they hear it, can see it. That we've all had the experience of feeling that someone is giving us a hard time, human or animal.
Mhm.
Um, and then to go, let's look at that, because if they were really having a good time, they probably wouldn't be having that. They wouldn't be. Because people, when they're happy, healthy, and get their needs met, are actually kind and supportive and compassionate and like all of these things. So when we're like, "Oh, that person's such a jerk," probably things aren't quite going and they're not getting all of their needs met either.
Mhm.
They're having a hard
Mhm.
time, and this is the way they're handling it. And it is interesting how with our story-making minds, people who absolutely adore animals or people, make up stories that are so oppositional, giving me a hard time, surly teenager,
Yes.
those kinds of things. My
Yes.
husband even did that recently about our grandkids. My son is doing some long National Guard training, so he's been gone for quite some time, and we've had the grandkids for a chunk of time every week while their mom, who's a nurse, is working. And one day was just a tough day, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, like, this is it." And he was kind of seeing my four-year-old granddaughter as being sort of, like, willfully defiant, and I'm like, "Do you know how much change she's been going through? Like, her dad
Mhm.
is gone, her mom is so busy and so tired, she's at different houses with different roles, she's going to a new daycare," like, all of these things. Like, let's
Yeah.
just stop and look and go, "Whew." amazing. This kid's doing incredible. She's having a really hard time and she's doing so good, as opposed to
Right.
like she was doing something to him by not putting her shoes on or
Mm.
whatever it was. But it was the story-making machine in our brain that is just like, "Why won't you just whatever? Why won't you potty in the rain? Why won't you potty in the rain?"
Yeah.
Because
And
you're
there's
just in
social
awe of
pressure
them, you
about it.
know? Yeah,
Yeah. I see it. I'm lucky with my dogs right now, that I don't have one who's going to react very loudly on the street, but I see lots of other people walking their dogs, two or three with food.
mhm,
Yay. Um, and how embarrassed they are when their dog starts reacting
yeah,
and lunging as, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it's like, gosh, I get it. We'll just go over here. We'll give you some distance. Do what you need to do. You're doing great. It's like,
yeah,
no judgment here. Definitely.
yeah, yeah. And that what a gift that is for those people to have someone just supporting them from a distance. "Yes, we will cross the street. Yes, we will give
Yes.
you some distance,"
Yes.
without being like, "Make your dog shut up."
And good for you as we as we make an exit. But I do say something. I'll say something because I love the change I'm seeing, and more people, thinking about what the dog is going through.
Yeah, yeah. So, when and you're really intimately involved in the whole dog world,
Mhm.
um, so you know lots and lots of humans who are doing this work. If I had a magic wand and you could give us all a wish or a blessing, what would you give these humans who are dedicating their lives to helping animals?
Take care of yourselves. I see how hard it is. I've gotten to know some shelter and rescue people lately, and I cannot imagine. I'm careful to say that because I know it's a sensitive point where people say, "Well, I couldn't do what you do because I care too much, I would
Yeah,
cry." I'm not saying that, because I know you all care so much,
they do.
but I would say do whatever you can to take care of yourselves because you are doing the hardest work, the hardest work. And trainers too, who have difficult cases and possible euthanasia cases and
Mhm.
just the regular heartbreaks you get as a trainer or behavior consultant. I see you out there. I'm friends with lots of you, and I'm so glad you're doing that work for all of us, and take
Yeah.
care of yourselves.
Easier said than done, isn't it,
Yes, it
for
is.
people? It's really interesting. I've been running support groups for people in animal welfare. And yesterday, the theme was, "You are an animal too." So, like,
Yeah,
all of the things that you do to reduce stress and improve health and safety for animals, maybe you could use that genius brain and turn a little bit of that toward yourself. Like, what would help you feel less stressed? What would help you feel more safe? What would help you feel a greater sense of belonging? What would help you feel more rested?
right.
And we don't start training animals in a state of acute distress. We start by meeting their needs, their physical needs first and taking care.
Yes.
And that whole like take care of yourself, it's so tricky because it feels selfish or wrong. Like some of the meaning making that goes around that is like I can't take an afternoon off because there are animals who need me. And also we need you. We need you to take care of
Mhm.
yourself and not just because it makes you help animals better, but because you are important just as you are.
That's right.
Um, so we will take it. We will accept your blessing whenever the magic wand is repaired.
Thank you. Please do.
They're all like in the queue. As soon as the magic wand is functioning again, all of the guests' wishes will just be dispersed out to the pet professionals all over the place.
That's great.
So, as this passionate amateur who knows so many things about so many things. If people wanted to learn more about you and your work, how could they do that? And I will link up to everything.
Okay. The best place is eileenanddogs.com, Eileen ANDDODGS. I don't spell out loud really well, but it's going to be in the notes. There are 2 Ds in there, Eileen and Dogs. And, that's my blog, that's my home, and you can find out about my other things that way. Let's put links. I'll give them to you, Colleen, for my 2 books that are on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, the one on dog dementia and the one on puppy socialization with Marge Rogers. I'm on Facebook, less these days, but I am on Facebook. That's where I learn what's going on in the dog world and, get some things to talk about on my blog. I like getting to know dog trainers. I have a page called Eileen and Dogs, but also you can just come to my personal page. I will usually accept friend requests and I like to talk to people about all this stuff. I have my dog dementia site, which is dogdementia.com. I was really lucky to get that URL.
Yeah.
And on that, I have some information. I have quite a bit of blog information on that site. If somebody can't afford the book or doesn't want to get the book, there's quite a bit of help on that site for people with dogs with canine cognitive dysfunction.
Yes, that book was very helpful to me, actually, for 2 dogs.
Thank
I was like, "Oh, I bet I don't have that book any longer," when the signs creeped up in the second dog, and I was like, "No, no, no, I do.
you.
Here it is on my shelf." So yeah, that's an important it's a tough it's a tough disease. It's a
It
tough
really is.
thing. And it's nice that there's a book to help people and a website where people can find out more because that's tricky.
Thank you. I am working on a second edition of the book, and
Oh,
it's like 60% longer.
oh,
We've learned more.
we have learned more. Well,
Yeah.
good. And you share it so well. So
Oh, thank you.
I am so appreciative of the people who love to dive in and learn and then share what they've learned in a way that makes it accessible and understandable for people. And you really do have a gift for that. So I love that
Thank you.
your passionate amateur is such a beautiful description because your passion really shows through. Like it really does.
That's
So
the nicest thing you could say to me. Thank you.
I'm so grateful that you came on the show today and also for everything that you give to dogs and the people who love them and both as, as family and as professionals. So it's been
Thank you
lovely
so
talking
much.
with you, Eileen.
It's been lovely talking to you.
That's our conversation for today. If something we talked about resonated, I invite you to sit with it. Notice what feels true and what you want to explore further. You don't have to have it all figured out to start moving toward what matters. Whatever showed up for you today, clarity, questions, even resistance, trust that it's pointing you towards something important. For more support, join my weekly notes at colleenpilar.com. And until next time, remember, you are enough, always, just as you are.